Hello, how's it going, my fellow morons? Getting on here. I'm trying out well, it's not new. It's new to me because I haven't tried it yet. But trying out the live audio for Facebook. So I am doing a Facebook podcast, Facecast, whatever we want to call it. I don't care. Um, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to share some of my thoughts on, some of my expanded thoughts on the critiques that I hear a lot about the new Star Wars movie, Star Wars The Last Jedi. And yeah, I personally, there are a lot of really, 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 really upset Star Wars fans. A lot. And I think for good reason. I don't blame them for being upset with some of the decisions that Disney has made. But I do really think that this movie did a really good job with expanding on the new universe that Disney is creating. Because with The Force Awakens, Disney revealed that this is going to be not non-canon. They're not going based on the canon that was written in the books and the comics and etc. The expanded universe or the EU. So they're stepping away from that, which, you know what? That's their decision. They've done it with the Marvel universe, and they have been very successful. They have made quality movies with Marvel, and I have enjoyed them. They are not accurate to the comics, but there is room for artistic interpretation, I guess. But they with them gaining rights to these characters in these shows and movies, they are making their own universe at this point, and I'm kind of enjoying it. So let me just kind of dive right in. So letting you know ahead of time, if you have not seen the movie yet, turn this off, go see the movie. There are a lot of really good twists within the movie that you will really enjoy, and I don't want to ruin that for you or your experience, but if you really don't care, here we go. Okay, so let's start off with one of the biggest critiques that people have for this movie, which is the parents of Rey. There are a lot of people that are really upset with what Kylo told her, and what she has seemed to accept. That her parents sold her for drinking money, and that she was left there to rot. I have two thoughts on this. First one is, I'm okay with that. That is perfectly fine. Look at Anakin Skywalker. Look where he came from. This goes really, really, really well with the narrative of not only Disney, because, Disney's narrative is if you wish upon a star, yada yada, so on and so forth. You can do anything you want as long as you try really, really hard. That's awesome. But it also goes along with the Star Wars narrative that great power comes from small places. Yoda is probably the smallest character in Star Wars, and he was one of the most powerful Jedi Masters. Anakin, who was supposed to be the chosen one, which he ended up being the chosen one more than once. He balanced out the Force because now people misinterpret the what's it called, prophecy, People say, well, he's there to bring balance to the Force. Well, yes, he is there to bring balance to the Force, not to make the Force entirely good, but to bring balance to the Force, whether that be for the light or the dark side. And he did it for both sides. He brought balance to the dark side and to the light. Keep that in mind, because his son did a similar thing. He also brought balance. And another really cool thing that I liked is that he kind of became a gray Jedi almost. Now, obviously, he cut himself off from the Force eventually, but he kind of became a gray Jedi because he was a light. He was on the light side. He was a Jedi, and he kind of used a little bit of the dark side's power to move forward with the ultimate good. So Anakin was almost the definition of balance. Or not Anakin, I'm sorry. Luke was almost the definition of balance because he used both the light and the dark side powers for the overall, the general good, what is the best outcome. So I'm okay with Rey coming from nothing. It's brilliant. It proves that you don't have to be in the Skywalker lineage to be something great. I like that. However, another theory that's come out. Anybody that plays Battlefront 2, I know very few people have played Battlefront 2 because of the issue with the loot boxes and all that. Well, if you play through the campaign, there are a lot of hints within the campaign that point to Del and Iden being Rey's parents. Shocker. No, not really. I think it's actually brilliant what Disney is doing, because we are so focused on Rey right now, trying to figure out her lineage, that we have completely lost focus on Kylo. What if Kylo, because I don't think Kylo is exactly Leia and Han's birth child. I believe maybe he is actually an adopted child by them, and he is actually the son of someone else. I may be wrong on that. I don't know. But that would be a bigger twist because they're having us be so focused on Rey that we have lost complete focus on Kylo, and that would be a huge plot twist if they decide to do that. And that's another thing that I absolutely loved about this movie, was that it is absolutely filled with plot twists. People feel like it's, that Disney is just trying to mess with our minds or, give you some gotcha moments, but from the very beginning, when the bombers are destroyed, I genuinely feel like anybody could die at this point. Obviously, Rey and Kylo, not so much. But since they killed off Han, and also since Carrie Fisher is dead in real life, it felt as though anybody could die. Poe could have died. Rose could have died. Finn could have died. Anybody could have died. And I liked that, because one thing I've kind of gotten bored of is these characters being invincible and never dying, or dying and then being brought back to life, which we'll touch on here in a minute with Snoke. But that really bothers me some of the times, and I'm glad that they kind of gave that feeling. Now, some people may say they exploited Carrie Fisher's death by making it feel like she was going to die at any moment and keeping us on the edge of our seats. Well, that's entirely possible, but whatever. So, yeah, I like the fact that they threw in a lot of twists, and I like what they did with Luke, which is my next point. People are so confused. Why did Luke die? Why is Luke gone? Because Luke is the Obi-Wan of this trilogy. As soon as R2 played the video of Leia, to me, mentally, that immediately connects Obi-Wan and Luke. Luke is the new Obi-Wan, and Rey is the new Luke. And he does, I mean, it's not exactly the same, obviously, but he does virtually this, he has the same outline as Obi-Wan. He trains Rey just enough for her to move forward with her force powers. And he not exactly sacrifices himself at this point, because he was projecting himself. But when he goes out in front of Kylo's military and, gets virtually blown to smithereens and then faces off with Kylo, he's not really doing it for himself. He is doing that because he wants Rey to get the rest of the resistance out of there and ready, because they have the resources, apparently, according to Leia, they have the resources to rebuild the rebellion. So, and that's exactly what he did in the original trilogy. And the next obvious step for any powerful Jedi Master is to ascend into a higher state of being, which is a Force ghost, leaving your physical body and becoming an entirely spiritual entity. And that is the next logical step. They no longer have use for Luke at this point. They now have Rey. Rey is way more powerful than Luke is at this point. If you think about the powers that she has right now and how fast she is learning them, and I'll get back to that as well, she's going to outpower Luke very quickly, if she hasn't already. So I believe that this was the perfect ending for Luke. I feel like they have done a very good job for Luke, and that they gave him the perfect ending with the way he gave himself up to the Force. And this kind of brings me to my next point, that they're explaining that the Force is cyclical. It's constantly doing what is necessary to create balance within itself. And since if you're going to explain this in human terms, if we as humans, history repeats itself. So we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again over a long period of time. And these movies are literally just echoing the original trilogy. And I believe they're doing this for two reasons. First reason is, it was successful the first time, why change it? If it's successful, if it's not broken, keep using it, or whatever you want to use it, or whatever term you want to use. If it's not broke, don't fix it. There we go. But it's cyclical because both sides are looking to overpower one another. So the dark side is trying to overpower the light, and the light trying to overpower the other. And when one overtakes the other one then rises to greater power to overtake the other, back and forth. It's this cycle of the light side and the dark side becoming more powerful than the other. And I believe that this movie is meant to represent that cycle of power change, that cycle of good versus evil, them chasing one another, but also being in complete balance to one another. So I feel like that's actually a very good narrative, and that's why Luke's story echoes Obi-Wan's story so well, and that's why I feel like Luke's story was dead on. Anyways, moving forward, I feel like we are seeing the raw power of the Force at work. People are really upset that Rey is procuring all these different powers really, really quickly and with very little training. And I'm okay with that because I feel like Kylo has become so powerful that the Force is trying to force balance at this point. So the Force is granting this access to knowledge and power with very minimal training, if any training at all. I mean, she's kind of getting some hints as to, when she learned how to do mind tricks. Well, she learned it from Kylo when he was meddling around in her mind, so she figured it out. But she just happens to stumble into the right places and at the right time. That's the Force at work, moving her and making her be where she's needed when she's needed it at that point. But that's also affecting Leia as well, because we see that she uses the Force in this movie. This is the first time that I recall her ever using the Force. She's never had to before. And I believe she's only using the Force at this point to move forward the rebellion. She needed to live at that point to help the rebellion move forward with its overall plan, because she believes that we have the resources needed to expand the rebellion, or to grow the rebellion. So she's the one that is needed still, apparently. We don't know what for yet, but I believe she is still needed. Now, what they're going to do without Carrie Fisher, I don't know, but that's up to Disney to figure out. And she also needed to speak to Luke, because she speaks to Luke through the Force to push him forward with the Force. Because at that point, I'm trying to recall, he was so on the fence about things that she was just the nudge that he needed to move forward with the story. So she was kind of used as a way of pushing the plot forward a little bit, in my opinion. But she was used very selectively, and I'm okay with that, because I believe the Force is working as a whole to move forward the balance between good and evil. This is an audio live, in case you haven't noticed. Hi. Anyways, so okay. Another necessary kind of another necessary plot point that people are really upset about is Snoke. I'm okay with him being dead. That's okay with me. I'm not too upset about that. They did kind of build him up in Force Awakens to be something bigger than just a character that moves the plot forward, but I think people have asked me several times if I think he's dead. Yes, he is dead. I believe Snoke is permanently dead. Why? Because people are sick of characters coming back to life that have no reason to come back to life. It's really annoying to see characters come back that have been dead. just to make something cool happen. So I think he served his purpose with Kylo and bringing Kylo to the dark side. And I believe Kylo is actually he is fully on the dark side at this point. But the only reason why I think they would bring him back is if he is Darth Plagueis. That is the only reason, or at least the Disney universe equivalent of Darth Plagueis. That is the only reason why they would have to bring him back, because according to canon, and this is movie canon, so that Disney can use this, probably will, Darth Plagueis has conquered death. So maybe he's Darth Plagueis for all we know. I don't know. But that is the only reason why they would have to bring Snoke back. Is his identity kind of a letdown at this point? Yeah, a little bit, but he served his purpose in moving Kylo's character forward, and that's all we really needed, because the Star Wars saga is about the Skywalkers, not about Snoke, not about Rey, not about Finn, not about Rose, not about Poe, the Skywalkers. And Kylo is a Skywalker at this point. That is confirmed. So this is moving forward with that story. Moving forward, Yoda, also another thing that people are upset about. People are excited that Yoda is back. Well, he's not back, but that he came back for this movie, and awesome job at using the original puppet. That is confirmed. They did use the original puppet. I thought it was CG initially, but I found out that they actually did use yes, awesome. Good job, Disney. And people are really upset about him using Force lightning as a Force ghost. It does bother me a little bit, but honestly, if Disney did a good job of explaining why he was able to do that, I would accept it. For example, perhaps Force ghosts are like the Watcher in Marvel, where they just observe and very, very rarely interfere, if at all. And at this point, there was no real there was nothing huge that would happen with burning down of the Jedi Temple, because the texts were already saved by Rey. In case you didn't notice that at the very end, it was a little quick shot, but you could see that Rey saved the Jedi texts. So there was no real consequence to him lighting the temple on fire, but it also pushed Luke to accept that perhaps perhaps the Jedi weren't perfect, and that he was onto something with developing something more than what the Jedi completely believed in. And I think it also pushed him to do what he needed to do to save everyone, to save the rebellion. So I don't know. I think they've kind of reached a point that they need a little bit more explaining to really validate that. If they went in that direction, I'd be okay with it. But if not, it's one thing that they did wrong. Let me see here. The Finn and Rose storyline. I believe it if you really dig into it, it kind of harkens back to a deeper story that's within the extended universe. And that is that both sides, the light and the dark sides, have one common evil within them. and that is the pursuit of more power. Now, they obviously kind of replace that with money. Power, money go hand in hand at that point, but that both want to overpower the other to have their own political power reign supreme over the entire galaxy. So like the light is so good that they sacrifice their humane qualities to just focus on only being good. So they get rid of love, connection, like emotional connections. I mean, emotions in general. So not just emotional connections to other beings, but completely eliminating emotions as well. So they get rid of those particular qualities to pursue the absolute good. And then the dark side wants to do anything to make themselves all powerful, and in doing so, killing anyone or anything in their way. And so it's this complete pursuit of power that have negative aspects to them. And I believe that this particular narrative that they're pushing here shows that both sides have a common, I guess, dark side to them. I don't know. They both have consequences to them. And that power or money at this point are those negative consequences. And I believe, it also makes a big reference to our society in real life as well. So I believe they're making a reference to Americans. We not only use our weapons in our wars, but also sell them to countries that aid the enemies. It also, within this narrative, points out the 1% versus the 99%, the rich versus the poor. And I don't know if they're intentionally doing that. I don't know if that's unintentional, but it's an interesting thought, to be quite honest. So overall, I feel like Disney's doing a pretty good job with what they're doing. They openly squashed the extended universe. I mean, they didn't hide that at all. They aren't hiding that. This is an obvious reminder that we need to accept the fact that the extended universe that we've been getting to know over the past couple of decades is gone. And they did this with Marvel. And honestly, I'm a big Marvel fan. I read comics as well. And I'm okay with it because there is possibility for Marvel has opened up the possibility for other universes to exist. And I think Disney is doing a pretty good job with what they're doing in making a really solid trilogy here. And I honestly think if we can remove the old extended universe that's been stuck in our minds for the past God knows how long, and we can just watch this trilogy independent from all of that and just enjoy the movies by themselves at this point, because they're probably not going to reveal a lot of the stuff that they're leading us on with for a while, maybe. I don't know. But if we can just enjoy the movies as they are, I believe Disney could is in the process of making a really, really solid trilogy. Are they perfect? No, there isn't a perfect movie. I'm sure you can go through any movie and find flaws within it. That's going to happen no matter what. But I feel like Disney is doing a very good job here. And we should definitely, as Star Wars nerds, Star Wars geeks, nerds and geeks in general, give them a fighting chance. I think that they could also do something really, really good, really, really amazing here, just like they've been doing with the Marvel movies. So, are they perfect? No, but they're doing a great job. So, I'm going to get off of here, and I will chat with you guys later. If you have any questions, comments, you can DM me, leave some comments on here. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm completely wrong on, some of my thoughts and theories here? Do you feel like they're accurate? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.